Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another great edition of my Grue Rume Show. For the Grue Rume Show today, I got a very awesome guest, and he does voices, and he's a ventriloquist. He does his own show in Vegas. He's won America's Got Talent, and I'm talking about the one and only Terry Fator. Fat, fat, Fatter. If I said your name wrong, I apologize. I'm so sorry. I am Rocco Cross. I am the host of Stutters. I am the host of the Grue Rume Show, and my interview with Terry be coming up very soon. This is my Grue Rume, and as always, my Gruelings. Welcome to my nightmare. So stay tuned, and let's have some fun. All right, buddy. Welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on and being my guest.
Thank you for having me. This is a delight.
Thank you. So I guess like the first question I want to start off asking you basically is what inspired you to want to do this, to want to do like a whole bunch of different voices?
Well, we were talking before the off recording, and it's really that I just never wanted to feel like a grown up. I didn't want to have to feel, I didn't ever want to take life too seriously and become morose and, feel like the weight of the world. And even when the weight of the world is, I wanted to do something that made me feel happy and young. And, I take care of my responsibilities, but also, it's interesting because I've done a lot of therapy. I've, having a traumatic childhood, a lot of really traumatic things happen in my childhood. As do most of us. It's not like, it's not like I'm special in that way. Most of us have trauma in our childhood. My wife had the most idyllic childhood you can possibly imagine. And yet we've talked serious talks, and she had some serious trauma that really affected her, psychologically. So, and my therapist is not one that prescribes drugs. We go through, we just talk things through and try to figure out the psychological reasons that, I'll have an issue with this or this. And I really do believe that through the trauma when I was young, and the hardest parts when I really felt like things were going to fall apart, I would kind of create these different things. I started to dream of what I wanted, not what I was in. So for example, our parents worked us. It would be considered slave labor by standards, by our American standards. I mean, they worked us. They worked us so much, and it was grueling, difficult work. We were around severe chemicals, really bad chemicals, that caused my sister to have physical problems. I have health problems because of it. Because of this exposure to these harsh chemicals that a child should not be exposed to, ammonia, and all kinds of really bad stuff. And so we would be I'm not kidding, they would literally work us 36 hours straight with no sleep. And that's why I say slave labor. This is like crazy stuff for a child, for an 11-year-old. Well, the way I made it out of that was I would create characters in my head because I wanted to be a famous ventriloquist. And I said, I'm not going to do this work. I don't want to do this for the rest of my life. I have to now because I'm young. My parents, I have no choice. But one day I want my job that I feed my family with to be playing with puppets and making people laugh. So instead of wallowing in the misery and saying, oh, I'm so miserable, I would, for these endless hours, create characters and write routines and listen to songs on the radio. I would have the radio or I'd have my, a Walkman in. You probably don't even know what a Walkman is. Back in the day, there's a little radio that you could put a cassette player in, tape in. That was even before CDs. And I would listen to music and I would sing along with my mouth without moving my lips. And that was how I practiced doing ventriloquism. But also, as I got older, started to drive, I would see people singing and they looked so stupid. And so I would sing along to the radio and I'd be like, don't stop believing. And nobody knew I was singing. So I could sing to the radio. And that way I didn't look like a goof in the car to the people next to me. So, but these are the ways that I did, but they were an escape for me. And so, creating, obviously psychological I think creating characters, because I felt very alone. My sister
Mhm.
and my brother and I were the only ones there. They didn't have any other employees, just me and my brother and my sister. And so we were together, but a lot of times we were janitors. We had a janitorial business. They would drop me and my brother and my sister off at like I think she was 11, I was 14, and my brother was 15 at a 7-story bank building after school, and we would work until midnight cleaning all 7 floors of that building. And
Oh my
we would
God.
all take a different floor. And so I would be on floor. So I was alone. Here I was in the middle of of a bank building, and then in the evening, in the night, and so I'm having conversations with these characters I've created, not because I was crazy, but because I'm thinking that would be a funny character for me to have one day
Yeah.
as we know, one of my puppets. And that's really how I did it, and I'm a big proponent of that. And a lot of people ask me, they'll say, what do you recommend? I want to be a famous singer, or I want to be, and I'll say, the best recommendation I can give you is when you're in a situation where, say you have to pay the bills, so you have to wash dishes at a restaurant. Well, while you're washing dishes at a restaurant, think about and work on, do a good job. Don't do a sloppy job, but try to better yourself on what you want to accomplish. So be there washing dishes, singing, practicing your singing,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
writing jokes. You want to be a comedian, write jokes. Try to write jokes and try to write comedy routines while you're washing dishes. And people don't realize, it's easy to wallow in our own misery, or we can say, this isn't what I want. I'm going to take every opportunity I can to better my situation by using the time that I have doing what I don't want to do to focus on what I do want to do. So anyway, that's pretty profound, right?
I love it. Like, dude, those are really good words to live by, especially someone that wants to do more than just like a 9 to 5 job. And
Yeah.
so yeah,
I
no,
mean,
that's
and
that's that's
if
really
you're
good. I
happy,
like
if
that.
you're happy in your 9 to 5 job, that's wonderful. Just do a good job and be pleasant and kind to people, because you don't
Mhm.
know how nice that is. That might change somebody's day. They might be having a terrible day, and if you're doing a
Right.
9 to 5 job and you're a sweet person, and you might brighten their day and make their whole day better. And so it's whatever. But if you it's not what you want to do, make sure you're doing a good job, but always be kind of thinking about how you can better your
What you have to
situation,
do,
or get
yeah.
into what you really want to do. So
Yes,
anyway.
definitely. Definitely. Nah, I love that. That's great. And you were on America's Got Talent, and were when you first got on the show, like, were you a little scared or intimidated, nervous, because Simon could be a real asshole?
Well, first of all, Simon was not on the season I was on, but
Okay.
I did not know this, but he was the executive producer, and he was very involved behind the scenes. So I found out later that Simon was watching every single audition. So
Wow.
anytime somebody would audition or somebody would do something, he was watching the tapes, and he would see what they were doing, and he would kind of behind the scenes recommend, who should be put in this area and all that stuff. Um, but I wasn't nervous. Honestly, I didn't expect much out of it. I had so much rejection in my life. I had been trying to make it as an entertainer. From the time I actually moved straight from that janitorial, and then we went into house restoration, where we would go into a house that was basically unlivable, and we would rebuild it and make it
Oh
brand
my
new
God.
almost. And so we did that for years, and it was very hard work. But I always wanted to be an entertainer, so I got into a band when I was in 1987. I was 22, and we decided that the band was a more fun way to make money than restoring houses. So we
Yes,
did that. I
exactly.
did this for about 15 years with some of my bandmates. And then when we got close to our 30s, I was like, man, this is, I don't think a 30-year-old band's ever going to make it. I think I'd rather try my luck as a ventriloquist. And so, but we had so many opportunities where we would go in and we'd say, this is it, MTV's going to be there. And we were a country
Yeah.
rock band. We're going to get discovered, and everyone's going to love us, and we're going to be famous. And then everything would fall apart. And that happened to me time and time and time and time and time again. So I was 42 when America's Got Talent came along,
Hmm.
and I had already decided, at 40, I had been working. And at 40, I was a professional ventriloquist. I was quite successful. Most ventriloquists don't reach that level of success that I was. I was making very good money. However, I was working 11, at least 11 and a half months a year, 3 to 5 shows every single day. So we're talking thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of shows. And so I think when I turned 40, I had this thing in my head where I said, well, I guess I'll never get famous doing this. And then I kind of ruminated and I thought, well, I remember those days when I was cleaning buildings.
Yeah.
I'm having a lot more fun. I may never get rich and famous, but I'm making a living. I'm paying the mortgage, and I got a nice car. It wasn't a fancy car. It was a 1996 Dodge Neon, and I was proud as I could be of that little thing. My first newish car. It was a few years old when I bought it, like 3 or 4 years old when I bought it. And I thought, I'm pretty happy doing this. I like this. So I may never get famous, but you know what? I still want to be the best ventriloquist in the world. I want to be the best ventriloquist anyone's ever seen. So I'm going to continue working on that. And if I'm, when I go in, and I was playing elementary schools, a lot of elementary schools, and do a little fun things for the kids. I literally said these words to myself. I said, so I may never be rich and famous, but when this fourth grader or third grader is 50 years old and they're telling their grandkids, I want them to tell their grandkids, when I was in the fourth grade, I saw the best ventriloquist I've ever seen. That became my goal. And I said, so whether or not I ever get rich and famous, my goal was I'm going to be the best at this, regardless of whether it happens. And so when America's Got Talent came along, I said, big deal. I've had so many failures. I've had so many, not failures. I've had so many disappointments. Like I thought, oh, this is it. So I'm thinking, I'm probably going to get on 2, hopefully 3 episodes. I'll get kicked off like the rest of the minions that are out there. But I can put together one heck of a great promo video where I was on America's Got Talent, and I can double my price. I can double my price at elementary schools and county fairs, so that was my plan. I was just like, I'm going to be making double the money I was making because I'm on this show. Never in a million years thought I was going to win it. So I wasn't nervous. I was excited because I thought, hey, I'm going to suddenly have fans. When I go into a fair now, people are going to say, that's the guy I saw on America's Got Talent.
Exactly.
Everything went totally differently because I ended up winning, and if you look at my face, I was completely stunned. I didn't know how to respond because I really did not think I was going to win. And it's amazing how often I hear now people will say, oh, I knew you were going to win from the first. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I must have been the only clueless one because I really did not think there was a chance a ventriloquist could win that show. But hey, everything went topsy-turvy in the best way. And I suddenly became internationally famous. And I jumped from being a complete unknown to being a major headliner at a major casino in Las Vegas overnight. And they told me at the time, they said that is unprecedented. That had never been happened. They had never happened in the history of Vegas. Somebody had been a total unknown and suddenly become a headliner at a major casino. So that's quite something to have experienced that. And it was a whirlwind. I mean, a lot of it is a blur. It's just like, it's hard when that stuff gets you. It's a whirlwind, and you're suddenly just everything is going. It's just bizarre.
Oh my God. Yeah. Cause you broke all kind of records too. And
I did.
For 11 years, like you did the show. You were the headliner, and that must have been like such a great experience to have, and to do that for as long as you did, breaking records. And like how did you keep things like fresh and going, like to get everybody back for 11 years?
That's an interesting, and it's such a good.
I'll tell you how I did it.
Oh, I'm sorry, Winston.
Yeah, he's ignoring me. And let's be honest, he could not have won America's Got Talent without me.
I will agree with that, Winston. I'm not even going to argue.
Yeah.
I couldn't have done it. So the key to winning America's Got Talent is find a singing turtle
Who could do impressions.
Right. And then you'll definitely win.
Right. Okay. Now, go ahead.
Okay. So anyway, the way we were able to continue our success is, and it's exactly the same way that I ended up winning America's Got Talent. I would take the best of what I do, So every single week, I chose the best thing I do. And that's key because you got to realize if you're on a show like America's Got Talent, it's an elimination show. So you can't hold something back. You can't say, I'll save that for the next episode. You may not have a next episode. So the best thing I had in my arsenal was Etta James.
Which, by the way, I did not sing, but I can. Alas. See, he should have used me.
Well, you didn't exist at the time. I didn't. No, I'll tell you about that. So what happened was that I had done this. I knew the best thing I did was at last. And my thought was, first, should I save this? But then I thought, well, what if I get kicked off? I want America to see me do Etta James, you know?
Not you, Emma Taylor.
Right. My puppet do Etta.
Yeah. He needs to remember that the puppets do all the work.
Right. That's true. The puppets do all the work. You're right. You're right. So when Emma Taylor sang, you know, and it was actually me.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was. Anyway, so what you do is I said, well, you know what? This is the best thing. And I want to make sure America sees this. So if I don't make it through the next round, at least I have this amazing thing in. Well, my plan was if I made it through, I've got to figure out what I'm going to do next. How am I going to top what I just did?
That's where I come in.
Right. So I did Etta James. I did Etta James that first, and everybody went crazy. And then it was like, well, what are you going to do for your next performance? So I'm thinking about it, and I had this amazing bit where I would sing as Louis Armstrong, and I had a Kermit the Frog puppet that I had bought on eBay. And around the country where I would go, I would end all my shows with me doing I see trees of green and red roses too, you know. So I would have Winston. I mean, not Winston, Kermit. Right. So I would have Kermit singing this. Well, so I showed this to the producers of America's Got Talent, and they loved it. They said, this is amazing, but you have to have permission from the Muppets if you want to use a Kermit the Frog puppet. So, and I really felt that was going to top at last. At least in the minds of people. People were going to go, wow, this is really cool. This is neat that he can do he just did two voices, and Kermit the Frog, who is a legend, let's be honest.
Not as much of a legend as me, but hey, what are you going to do?
Yeah. But
yeah.
So that's really not true.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. Actually, Kermit is a huge influence on me.
That's true. Because you're a turtle. Right. So they wouldn't let me use Kermit. So I literally had to find a puppet, and I was just looking for another amphibian. I was looking for a lizard or anything that could do an impression of Kermit. And my sister and I found this cute little puppet online. And it happened to be in Austin, Texas at a toy store. And I have dear friends who lived in Austin, and they went and bought that and overnighted it to me. I opened the box and I said, this is Winston the impersonating turtle.
I've had plastic surgery since then.
Yeah, it's not the same puppet.
Yeah, I got a lot of work done. But you know, when you're a millionaire, that's what you do.
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So he's a different puppet than he was back then. But so I got up and I did What a Wonderful World with Louis Armstrong and with this little turtle, Winston the impersonating turtle, and America went nuts for it. So then I thought, how am I going to top myself this time? Next time. And that's what I do. Every time I will write a show, the show I'm doing right now, 18 years into Las Vegas, is the best show I've ever done. And when I do the next one, it'll be even better. And that's what I do. That's how I keep people coming. I constantly push myself to do a better routine and to do better skits and to try to figure out how to stretch my abilities, my vocal abilities, and do things that are completely unique and different.
Yeah. And it's worked.
It has.
It definitely has. Has fame went to the head of Winston?
Oh, of course not. No, Grue, no. Nothing would. Yeah, it has.
No, it hasn't.
It hasn't really. I'm still the same simple little turtle that used to drive everyone crazy back at the pond.
Yeah. Why would you drive him crazy?
Because I did all the impressions.
Right. That's right. Because he could do impressions.
I do impressions of the frogs and the lizards and fireflies and stuff. Yeah. Then I started doing impressions of singers when I met Terry.
Right. So you're going to go. Yeah. Okay. You're going to put him up. My hand can only take so much puppeteering, especially when I'm doing it like this.
Oh, look, I'm
Exactly.
naked. I'm naked. Is this a porn site?
That's an old ventriloquist joke, though.
So is it like when you're doing these shows and all and different acts and singing and puppets, and is it hard to not show your mouth, like when you're like that has to be like the hardest thing about doing it is not showing like your mouth really.
It is, but it was. Let me put it this way: it was, but it was all of those years of practicing singing and writing routines and talking and everything when I was cleaning houses and cleaning buildings that made it so, trust me, it was very difficult. And if I can do it, it's early. But the distant voice was one of the hardest things. And the distant voice, so check this out. So I'm not moving. Now notice, so I'll say, Winston, are you okay?
Yeah, I'm just fine. Would you leave me alone?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bother you.
All right.
So it sounded like he was far away, right?
Oh my God, yeah.
That is the hardest thing. That took me years to perfect. And I mean, it was so hard to learn. But when you practice something and you work on it, so I would literally walk around when I was mopping floors when I wanted to learn my distant voice. That's what the technical term is, the distant voice. I would be like, "Are you there, Walter?"
"Yep, I'm good. What you doing?"
"Okay, I'll be right there."
"Okay, that's good."
So I would do this while I'm mopping floors so that I could practice. And there's just techniques where you squeeze the voice out to make it sound further away. And, anyone who wants to do it, you're not going to just be able to start doing it today. It took me about probably 5 years of really hard work and practice to learn how to do it. And now, in my show, I have puppets yelling from off stage, and, we have a running gag where every time somebody says something, my puppet will yell from off stage. And, I'm not even sure the audience knows it's me doing it, but, it's fun.
I mean, that has to be like a lot of strain on your voice, especially when you're doing like sold out shows, like one after the other in Vegas. And I know you tour around the world too and do different shows there.
No, it is. But if you want to go into anything that requires your voice, whether you're a podcaster or whether you're a singer or a comedian or a talk show host or a singer or a ventriloquist, you have to do vocal warm-ups to strengthen the vocal cords. You have to. It's just that's how I keep my voice. I do a 20-minute vocal warm-up. And I do it faithfully. I have my alarm set before my show, 20 minutes before the show starts. I do about 15 minutes. So I have 5 minutes, but I do about 15 minutes of scales, and you can just go online and type vocal warm up on YouTube and find all kinds of resources, and you'll find all sorts of things. Try to find a 10 to 15 minute vocal warm up. And I do it religiously. I won't do it. And, I mean, if I don't, there are times when I used to not, and there were times when right in the middle of the show, my voice would just die and I couldn't figure it out why. So I started talking to a voice coach, and they said, and also my voice doctor, I was losing my voice. I was getting hoarse. And my voice doctor was like, "Are you doing warm-ups?" And I said, "No, I've never done warm-ups." And he said, "You need to do warm-ups." And so I found this, and I could not believe the difference. I mean, I was having trouble. Like the show I'm doing right now in Vegas, it is the hardest, most taxing show I have ever done in my entire life.
Oh, really?
Because I'm singing Bohemian Rhapsody in the original key with a Freddie Mercury puppet with my mouth closed. And I end the show with yes, and I end the show with "We Are the World" with 19 different puppets, male and female, and all of them without movement. And I could not get through that show without my voice dying. And I was scared. About 2 weeks before we opened, I said, I may have bitten off more than I could chew. I don't know if I could do this. Well, the first night I started doing the vocal warm-ups, I went right through and got all the way through, and I said, "Oh my gosh, what have I been missing all these years?" So I now know how important that is. But that's very, very important to keeping your voice strong. And if you're in Vegas or a dry climate, it's not as necessary if you're in Florida or Hawaii or somewhere where it's you're near the ocean. But if you're in Vegas, the first thing my voice doctor told me when I moved to Vegas was get a humidifier. I have a commercial humidifier. They're expensive, but if you're going to do a residency, you must have humidity because they call it Vegas throat, and there's no recovering. I mean, you can recover from it, but you can't not have it happen if you're in Vegas and it's dry. You have to have humidifiers. So I actually have in my writer contract, whenever I go on the road, they have to provide me with a humidifier for my room. So I always have a humidifier next to my bed so that I don't get too dried out. My voice doesn't get too dried out.
Oh, okay. And like you mentioned, like your current show that you're doing now, it's the one man show, right? Isn't that the current show that you're doing?
Yes, one man, 100 voices, 1,000 laughs. That's what it's called. Yeah, and then actually that's kind of the name of my that's sort of my motto. The name of the show is the soundtrack of our lives. So anytime the show, I think my next show, I can't remember what my next show is going to be called, but we name the different shows. So if you come to a show and it's got a different name, it's going to be a different show. So.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so like this isn't like the same show all the time. It's a different show each time someone goes.
I have 3 different shows right now. I've got a Christmas show that is different from my regular show. It's called A Very Terry Christmas. And then we have and then my road show is called Pure Imagination, and it's completely different from the road show. I mean, from the Strat show and the Christmas show. So it's like but that's how you ask, how do you keep it fresh? That's how I keep it fresh. I keep putting new things. So you can come and see me this year. And if you come and see me this year, next year, you're going to see different things. You're going to see a different type. You're going to see, it may not be 100% different, but you will see a different aspects of the show. So people are like, oh, wow, I want to see what he's going to do next. And that's really how I've done it.
Oh my God. Like you mentioning the Freddie Mercury puppet and the singers for We Are the World, like that's amazing, like to actually like go to a show and like see a puppet singing Queen songs and We Are the World, and I know you do like a whole bunch of other ones too, like you do so many different singers, and
I do over 200 singers. So
that is crazy. Oh my God. And you have a puppet for each singer?
I do. I have these little puppets called Dinkies that I got from Steve Axtell. By the way, if anybody's out there wants puppets, Steve Axtell is truly one of the great puppet makers in the world. And you just go to Axtell, AXTELL.com. And boy, he makes amazing, and he makes a lot of my puppet. He makes my cougar puppet, my Vicky the cougar puppet, and also my Hawaiian puppet, which I'm going to be performing in Hawaii in September 5th at the Hawaii Theater in Honolulu. And he made this incredible Hawaiian puppet. I just said I want him to look like an amalgamation of all the famous Hawaiian singers, like and he's the cutest little thing you ever saw. And I'm so excited. I'm going to, oh gosh, that's next week. I gotta start working. I'm going to learn a new Hawaiian song. I actually do sing in Hawaiian with him, or he sings in Hawaiian, as Winston says. Yeah, get it right. Sorry, Winston.
and you're celebrating 18 years of doing shows in Vegas, and that is incredible. Like, just to be like, there's bands that wish that they can actually sing in Vegas and have residencies, and you're doing this for 18 years. So.
18 years. Yeah. Adam Sandler came to my show back when I was at the Mirage, and we were backstage, and he looks around and he goes, this is the dream. You're living the comedy dream. This is what we all dream of. We all dream of having a theater that we go to every single night, and we go home and sleep in our own bed. And I'm like, I mean, this is the dream. 18 years of it is insane. It's incredible. I'm just so blessed. I'm a blessed person.
So what's the secret of lasting as long as you did for 18 years and still going strong and many, many more years to come?
The secret is to never stop moving forward. Always try to find ways to improve what you're doing, be better at it, and to innovate and to find new aspects, and just continue to make to do what you're doing and get better and better at it. And if you do that, you'll have a career that will just never stop. It's when you stop and you stagnate. It's like, I'm tired. I don't want to do anything. I wrote this show. It's a great show. I could have stopped. I felt like it was the best show I ever wrote, 10 years ago. And I could have said, wow, this is the best show I ever wrote. I'm not, that's it. I'm just gonna do this from now on. And I just can't do that. I'm like, no, I gotta move on. I gotta move on. I gotta push myself. I gotta figure out how to top myself, just like I did on America's Got Talent. Every week I taught myself, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I just tried to be innovative, but I also talk to people. I'm not one of those arrogant people that's like, I got to do it all myself. I talk to my friends. I have a writer. I talk to my wife. I talk to my staff. What do you think? We just put in a new thing in the Strat show for the Freddie Mercury bit. I'm not going to say it. You have to see it. If you want to see it, you got to come to the Strat to see it. But it's hilarious. And it wasn't even my idea. And I'm like, oh, that's a great idea. That's hysterical. Let's do that. And so I'm just open to anything and you have to be. And if you're that way, a lot of times if you get too arrogant and too egocentric, you think, oh, I can do this on my own. I don't want any help. I want this all to be me. I'm like, no, I like the input. I like everybody. And so, I write the bulk of it. Most of it is me. But I'll let people write jokes and help me write routines. And so I don't have any problem at all. Because at the end of the day, I get all the credit for it. I'm the one up there performing it. They don't have a clue who gave me that joke,
Exactly. And I'm a big horror fan, so I always ask my guests this. I mean, Halloween's coming up. Are there any horror films that you watch or might want to do any horror puppets?
I do. I actually prefer monster movies. I'm more into, I like horror, horror's fun. But I'm a softie. I like Hallmark movies. I like the romance. Okay. I'm a rom-com guy, but I do love horror. I mean, The Nightmare Before Christmas is one of the greatest movies ever made, but I'm really partial to, I adore black and white old Frankenstein and Dracula and the Wolfman. And they seem cheesy, but I just freaking love them. Those are the ones I really gravitate to, is those old, that I am Count Dracula, with Bram, not Bram Stoker, but the guy, I can't think of his name right now, but the original guy, and Boris Karloff's Frankenstein. And of course, I love Young Frankenstein. If you haven't seen that, if you're a horror fan, you got to see Young Frankenstein with Gene Wilder. That's a classic. But those are the ones I like. I just, to me, a lot of modern horror stuff is very predictable and almost kind of silly, and with the jump scares don't even scare me anymore. They used to when I was young. But I also really love Alien. Those are the ones that I get. Well, I'm like, oh, don't put that on your, that kind of thing, Don't go in that cave. Are you crazy? What's wrong with you? I love those kinds. So if I'm going to watch horror, that's what I'm watching, is more of a psychological. I'm not a big fan of the big, oh, look, he's murdering 30 people. And, those are boring to me, but I like the ones where I don't know what's going to happen. That's hard to do nowadays though, because almost everything's been done, so now it's like, I see so many and I'm like, oh geez, this looks so cheesy. But my assistant Marina she's an uber horror fan. She loves all of those horror. Oh, she loves every one of those things. And so I'm like, we actually went to Universal Horror Nights. 2 or 3 years ago. Yeah, the Halloween thing
Horror
a few
Nights,
years ago. Yeah, Halloween Horror Nights. So, but that's my answer to horror.
Okay. And if you were going to do a karaoke song, and also if Winston was going to do a karaoke song, what would be the song that you choose?
Let's see. Are you going to do it?
What about sunrise? What about rain? What about all the things that you said you were to name? Does that answer your question?
Michael Jackson. Okay, can I go now? You can go. Okay. So I like to do Michael Jackson, but I like to do all of them. I love to do Journey. I like to do, I love doing Led Zeppelin. I love doing Aerosmith. And so when I go to a karaoke bar, trust me, people pay attention. I can do all of those. Styx. I can do all of those guys. Country. I can do Garth Brooks. So we'll go from one to another to another to another. I can do Andrea Bocelli. So people are just like, People come up and
Yeah,
say, you should do
definitely.
this for a living. And I say, oh, good idea. I should, shouldn't I?
And I guess like the last thing I'll ask you is, where is there anything coming up you want to plug, and where could fans follow you and keep up with everything?
Well, yeah, just you can follow me on my socials. I always release a lot of really fun socials things. My last one, I did Lady Gaga, and it's called I did Abracadabra, and it's hilarious because I dance and I don't dance, and it's very funny. I'm getting a lot of compliments on the dancing though, not because I'm a good dancer, because it's abandoned dancing. It's kind of like Elaine from Jerry Seinfeld from Seinfeld. I'm a terrible dancer. But I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, my socials, also I'm at the Strat. I'm there, 4 to 5 nights a week. And I tour. So go to my, terryfator.com. There's a schedule. Also, I have a charity, the Terry Fator Foundation. I started it, a few years ago, but I've been doing this. I've been donating to military and first responders ever since I won America's Got Talent. And it's
Oh,
really
wow.
important to me, to the families of the fallen, and people who are disabled. The Terry Fator Foundation just got 2 um, uh, service dogs for some disabled service members, and it was wonderful because one's named Terry, one of the dogs is named Terry, and one's named Winston. So so very appropriate. But I didn't do that. Apparently they did that when they did but so yeah, the Terry Fator Foundation. And anytime, if you go to the Terry Fator store, terryfator.com, and go to the store, click on the store, all of the profits that I make from that go to the Terry Fator Foundation. So get yourself a t-shirt or a puppet or some of the fun things. I got a deck of cards that has all the puppets on it. And you'll be doing some good. You'll be getting some cool stuff for gifts, and you'll be helping some good people. So those are really my plugs.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on. It was very nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you too. This has been a lot of fun. I hope you get to see my live show sometime. Check out
I
my
know.
schedule on terryfator.com, and I may be coming in your area. Whoever's
Okay,
watching,
well,
I travel
I
all over the world.
I live in Philadelphia, so I'm
Oh,
gonna keep
nice.
up. I'm gonna check. I'm gonna see like where you're touring at and stuff.
I love Philadelphia. Yeah. So I'll tell my agent to start looking up over there in Philadelphia, so you can come see us.
Awesome. Yeah, I definitely want to see that show. Looks
Oh, you'll love it.
amazing.
My new road show, I know I say this, my new road show is the best I've ever done. It really is. And even my staff, they're like, we didn't think you could top the last one. The last one was called Who's the Dummy Now? And the new roadshow, they're like, oh my gosh, it's even better than the other one. And it's like, and trust me, I get nervous. I'm thinking, how am I going to top this? But that's what you do. You have to have a mindset. You say, I got to figure out how to top this. And you just work and you try to come up with ideas and push. And that's the way to have a successful career that just, that keeps
Wow.
going.
Wow. Again, man, thank you so much for this. It was so nice meeting you. So much fun.
You're so welcome. I hope to see you in Philadelphia sometime. Or get out to Vegas.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, it's not a long flight.
No, and it's a great place. A lot of stuff to do here.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I'll definitely keep you posted if I could get out to Vegas.
Wonderful. Well, we hope to see you. All right. Well,
Thank
thank you. Thanks for everything.
you.
This was a lot of fun. My favorite interviews. I love doing these interviews where we can really
Oh,
talk, I love it. So thank you. It's one of my favorites. You did a great job.
oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.